Who
Yeah, we
knows?
definitely got to get back to Insta. And I think a lot of the people that watch us on Twitter have Instagram, so they would come over. So yeah, it wouldn't be a problem.
Most definitely. A lot going on in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs. What was your initial reaction?
Listen, first and foremost, you owe me like a Gatorade or something, a
Sure,
case of
man.
Gatorade,
Yo,
because
anytime.
you hit me yesterday trying to do the podcast yesterday,
That's a
but I was
fact.
busy. So me being indirectly busy now lets us talk about a hot topic. We wouldn't have had the Donovan Mitchell topic if I wasn't busy.
No, you know what's crazy? This could become more of a philosophical conversation, because no matter what kind of answer somebody gives you, there's always a positive point to take out of it, right?
That's
And
very true.
this is definitely it. Like
That's true.
This was great timing for sure. So yeah, I'll send you that Gatorade. What's your favorite flavor Gatorade?
I like grape.
You like grape?
Yeah.
Fierce?
Nope, just pure grape.
Okay.
Just pure grape.
I like the cherry white one. You know which one?
You do?
Yeah.
I hate that one.
And I hate grape. Hey, hey, you know how we are. We either totally agree or we totally disagree.
Exact opposite. Yeah. Yeah. You know what flavor I've liked? I was gonna answer, but I had to. But as a kid, I didn't like red. But I like, the older I get, the more I like red. It used to be just such a plain. I used to feel like I always had to get like a Arctic Blitz or Freeze Blue or something. But red is kind of good, the more mature.
So I don't want to make this an old head podcast, but did they have glass bottles when you were really young?
No, that was before my time,
bro. They used to be dead ass glass bottles, and there used to be cracked glass on everywhere around the basketball court because of this. Like, how didn't we think about making plastic back then? I don't know.
I saw a commercial about an old Gatorade commercial that had glass, and I was like, that was way before my time. My time is when they first came out with the long ones where you can like squeeze it like a water bottle.
Oh yeah. But they don't have those anymore. That's
no,
crazy.
They still have them, but I think during my time it was new. It was like a new thing, and they used to have the green label.
That was the era that Snapple was even bigger, right?
Right, Snapple. Yes, Snapple. When they had the fact in the top.
Oh, Snapple facts, combo facts, P facts, all that stuff.
Man, we turned it into some. Oh, that was a good time.
Well, you turned it into I turned it into a super old head conversation. You came in with the semi old head part of it.
Yeah, semi. But as far as the Cavaliers trade, I love the trade. I love the trade for both sides. I think if there was any team to do a trade like this for Donovan Mitchell, I think it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're in a good situation. He's young. He fits the timeline with the rest of the young core that they have there. And I think this puts them in a situation where over the next few years they're gonna be nice. For the Jazz aspect, between this trade and the Rudy trade, they now have 6 unprotected future first round picks. I think they have 10 future picks, or including swaps and stuff. Just from those two. Then you talk about the Royce O'Neal trade where they got a first round pick. So they have 11 future first round picks. You get Colin Sexton, Laurie Marketing, Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler, Ochai Agbaji, nice young talent. And you still have movable players like Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson. If anybody wants the older Mike Conley, he'd be out there. But I think Bojan and Clarkson could bring you potentially more first round picks. And then Malik Beasley, who they got in the Timberwolves trade, is a guy that I could see playing himself into a tradable asset around a trade deadline for contending teams. So when you talk about bright futures as far as draft capital and young talent, the Utah Jazz have to be atop of the list. And then as far as the Cavaliers, I'm not a fan of miniature backcourts, but if there's ever a time to do it, it's when you have 2 twin towers like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen protecting the rim. So all in all, I love the trade for both sides. Obviously, time will tell who wins the ultimate trade, but I do think that this is a good situation for both organizations.
Yeah, definitely. And you took my thoughts right out of my head when it comes to that miniature backcourt, because we don't obviously like to see that in the NBA on the defensive side. On the offensive side, it could be dynamic, but when you have Evan Mobley and Jared cleaning that up, it's not so bad. How much of this for the Jazz? Like, picks are great. We've seen it work with teams like the Sixers, got really far, just accumulating picks. I think OKC has a bright future. But how much of this comes down to how good Colin Sexton becomes? Because I still believe he has all-star potential. I think he can sneak in 1 or 2 games.
See, you're higher on Colin Sexton than I am. I think this is a good situation for him, though. Get the extension, 4 years, $72 million, put him around 18 per. Anytime you're a player like Colin Sexton, who kind of got lost in the shuffle, the way he did in Cleveland with his injury, Darius Garland, went up to be an all-star. Allen became an all-star. Evan Mobley is the heart eyes of every Cavs fans. So he kind of got lost in the shuffle. This is good for him. He got his money. He's going to be on a team that allows him to find an identity, and develop and grow. You know what I mean? There's nobody on the Jazz that kind of will coincide or get in the way of his development. And I think it's important for him to get an identity, because you have guys like you who think he has all-star potential, and you got guys like me who think he's a six-man. So hopefully, regardless of what anybody's opinion is, he gets to define his identity in the NBA. I think it's very important for young players to have an identity so they don't get lost in the shuffle. I think that one of the greatest things to ever happen for a guy like Jordan Clarkson is that he found his identity. Once the six-man role and heat check hot microwave guy come off the bench, he is now accelerated to the most valuable I think he's been, because he has an identity. I'm interested to see Colin Sexton form his identity, and I'm interested to see what identity it's going to be. You know what I mean? That, my opinion, is just six-man. I'm not saying that's who he is or what it will be. He definitely could outplay it and become an all-star like your opinion is. But I think more so than my opinion, I am interested to see what he actually will become.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a perennial all-star. I think he can sneak into one or two, but the six-man, I mean, that makes sense because, look, we had Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams. Those were great players, and they were perennial six-men. Yeah, Manu Ginobili. Yeah, definitely, like Hall of Famer. But I guess like Collins' defense might be a little bit better than those guys, right? And the offense might not even be as good. So it is kind of like,
yeah, I mean, I like his defense, but again, he kind of is like the Donovan Mitchell situation where they're undersized twos.
He has a little more effort than Donovan lately, right?
No, for sure. But there was a time where Donovan effort was there. I think it kind of drops down once you become more of an elite scorer.
True. I try to tell people this. Like, my best scoring seasons were the seasons I played the least defense. Like, there is a balancing act,
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And
unless you're like MJ or Giannis or something crazy.
Yeah, I mean? The elite of the elite, for sure.
Right.
And when you think about somebody like Donovan Mitchell, he ultimately over time became, the Utah Jazz's offense. So when you're the entire system yourself, it takes a toll on you. And guys like you, myself a little bit, who have played basketball, we can attest to that and give them the benefit of the doubt, though it's not excusable because you want a two-way player. It is what it is. And I think guys like Donovan Mitchell are already behind the eight ball because he's playing a position at an undersized level. So Donovan Mitchell may be a better defender if he was able to guard point guards, but if you play him at the two and he's guarding 6'6", 6'7" guys, he's already at a disadvantage. And that's my thing with Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton has the effort. He's shown he's willing to defend. But as long as he's playing the two and he's guarding other twos, maybe even sometimes threes, the way the NBA is, he's going to be probably behind the eight ball. But I do like this situation for him a lot, man. I really do.
Do you see the league positionally going like in a weird direction because it's going in all directions? Like we see the Magic building with 2 point forward type players. The Cavs have 2 bigs and 2 smalls. Obviously, the Warriors have been doing what they have been doing for years, right, with the small ball. But it's interesting to see all these teams. I mean, like Indiana tried it with 2 bigs. That didn't really work. But it's not as much of a copycat league right now, right? Like teams are going in their own direction positionally.
I like it. I still do think it's copycat because if the Cavs work, we're going to see more teams try that route. Like the Timberwolves just got the Rudy and Cat.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They're just copying different things. I like this though. It reminds me of the NFL, where the NFL, there's a copycat system, but there's still so many different type of identities. You know what I mean? And I'm not as big on football like I am knowledgeable with basketball, but you have a 3-4 defense, a 4-3 defense. You have a spread offense. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways to play. And I think this is where the league is going to be at its best, when there's not a clear-cut dominant number one team, when we have so many different ways of basketball being played and so many different styles with so many different players doing so many different things. Like I love the fact that Draymond has found a way to be valuable without having to score the basketball. I love the way that Giannis is dominating from a non-perimeter centric standpoint. Though I love more polished scoring like Kevin Durant and whatnot, I do find appreciation for how Giannis is dominating the game in a very different way in a perimeter centric game. Steph Curry is shooting threes. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different styles, ways. I think for youth basketball, this is a time where everybody should do a better job, especially guys who are coaching at those youthful levels, of showing examples. Man, look, you can be a star in your role like Draymond Green. There is appreciation for six men like Jordan Clarkson. Tyler Hero was a six man. Like this is the best time for guys to find how to be valuable in what they do. You don't have to try to want to be Steph Curry, because you see there's so many different guys getting bags and money and awards and accolades for playing true to themselves.
Yeah, you said Giannis, and the disrespect of Giannis has been at all-time high by lots of people. Look, man, I haven't been the highest on Giannis over the years, but obviously the two-way effectiveness, the two-way impact is elite. But the skill level is not elite, and that's okay. He's still one of the best players in the league. Gilbert saying that he has to condition himself better was the craziest part of it all. Like, that dude's in crazy condition, and it's not up to him how much he plays.
Yeah, I love Gilbert Arenas, but I didn't like some of the things even a Tim Duncan. If he had Tim Duncan's knowledge,
and Steph Curry had Shaq's size, and Shaq had Steph Curry shooting, and
you know what I mean?
Pierre was 7'5", and
it's just, if we put Tim Duncan's knowledge in 97% of these guys, they would be a lot better. You know what I mean? So, what people have to understand is the game of basketball would be boring if it was just one way to play. You know, I based off how I like the position to be played or a way a player plays, I'm going to find respect for somebody like Giannis. If we knocking at his skill, we knocking at all these different things, you're only making him look better because he's still dominant. So Gilbert Arenas saying these things make Giannis look even better. If he doesn't have Tim, if your thing is he's not conditioned, he don't have Tim Duncan's knowledge, he's not as skilled, but he's still a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year champion in Milwaukee. So shit, that makes him look even better in my mindset.
But there's no way you could say he's not conditioned. That's insane.
That's wild, right?
Like, you can say he doesn't have Tim Duncan's IQ, and that's obvious, but you can't say he's not conditioned. And he doesn't the star players do have a lot of say in the NBA, but that's part of the system that Coach Bud brings. Like, he's not going to play you 48 minutes.
And it's worked.
Yeah.
Giannis has a championship in a place where people don't go and win championships, man. Milwaukee is not a place that, for my lifetime, Milwaukee has never been a championship contending team. I know they won way back when, before I think my dad was probably even born. But, throughout my 27 years of living, before there was a Giannis Antetokounmpo, there was a certain way we thought of the Milwaukee Bucks. They had the little time in my early childhood where there was Ray Allen, Glenn Robinson, and even that team only went so far. This is the first time that this team is one of the elite teams, and it's literally off the back of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I have major respect in that, in the league where everybody kind of runs from the challenges and goes and team up. Giannis won without a super team. Really, Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday, as good as they are, they aren't like other caliber players of guys we've seen team up. KD going to the Golden State Warriors, LeBron with Wade and Bosh, LeBron with Kyrie and Love. You know what I mean? Like, they aren't on that level. And Giannis was able to do it without having to leave. And that's dope to me. And that's no knock on KD, LeBron, and all the other guys that did team up, but there is appreciation in the way that Giannis did it.
I guess it also comes down to the fit versus top end talent debate, because I feel like those three fit each other's games so well,
Yeah, that's what I respect more, because you see the Lakers went out and just name chase with Russell Westbrook, and look at the results of that. There's value in saying, how do we make things work? How do people fit, and not just getting a name and really thinking things through? Because the easy way is to just think you can get a bunch of names and throw them on a roster. The hard thing to do is really trying to go out there and fit, and saying, okay, we fit, but we're not as elite, but we all gonna take our game up to a different level. And that's what the Bucks do. Chris Middleton is not one of the most sexiest players in the league, but when it's time to get money and it's time to make shots from the perimeter, when Giannis isn't capable of doing that, Chris Middleton has stepped up tremendously for them. Same thing with Jrue Holiday on the defensive side of the basketball. And Jrue Holiday stepped up this past playoffs offensively when there was no Chris Middleton out there. And if they had Chris Middleton, I think they play in the finals, because they took the Celtics 7 games without him.
Yeah.
The Bucks are nice, man. The Bucks are nice.
You mentioned the Lakers. Are they the best team in LA this year?
No, not even close. Not even close. The Clippers are my pick to represent the Western Conference.
I love that team. Well, especially on paper, they have to stay healthy.
Right.
But John Wall is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I love his mindset coming into it. I saw his interview or whatever, and he had he had a great mindset of just coming in and saying, "I'm just trying to fit in and win, man. My days of trying to be the guy and compete for that. This is Kawhi and Paul George team. I'm here to help it." That's all the things that you want to hear from a guy who's coming into a new situation, fresh off an injury. And the last time we saw him, he was one of the top players at his position. So I was happy to hear that. There is a such thing as having too much. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to see how it all plays out. I think Tyronn Lue is an underrated coach, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and the trust of making this work. But man, do I love this team. They got some dogs. They got size, versatility, scoring, defense, shooting. Now they have playmaking, which is the one thing I think they lack, the true point guard. John Wall should be that for them. I got the Clippers as long as they stay healthy, representing the Western Conference.
Come on, John Wall was MVP of those Rico Hines runs that day. That one day he came.
I still ain't even watched, but I saw him say you can't do that no more. And somebody went under on the screen. I still got to watch that.
See, to me, when you see people, everybody has their own personality, but when you see that, it just shows how much he loves the game. When you see player in that mode, not saying the quiet guys don't love the game,
right? Of course.
But when you see somebody in that type of bag, you're like, yo, that dude loves basketball.
And I feel for him. The game was taken away from him for such a long time because of the injuries. Then he had to go to Houston, where they was like, yeah, we just not going to play you. And we're not going to buy you out or cut you yet. We're just going to make you waste a year of your career by just sitting here. I feel for him, man. I feel for him. And that's why I'm hoping the best for him, because having an injury I've had and you've had, you can speak on, you don't understand the value and the appreciation of the game and or your body until it's taken away from you. And it is a shame to say that it has to be taken away from you, but that's just human nature. You don't know what you got till it's gone. And having an injury at the lower body that makes you physically incapable of moving the way you're used to, you grow as a person. You grow as a person in your appreciation of your body and the game, because it's not, to just have it now where it's just like, oh, we can go shoot around if we want to. You take it for granted. So I'm assuming he's coming into the season with a bigger chip on his shoulder than usual, because that appreciation, you can't create that. You know what I mean? That's something that can't be. I don't care how great of a trainer you are. You can be Tim Grover. You cannot create that fire of having 100%. Something taken away from you. You know what I mean? That's just a different level.
You know who's going to have a chip on their shoulder this season? You could just tell from the haircut and your profile picture.
Brandon Ingram.
Yo, bro, if you come into the season looking like that automatically means you're going to destroy everybody. And if you haven't, you look crazy. You can't come in look like that and not look crazy. What do you think about this team's potential, though? Like, let's say this. Best case scenario, right? Obviously, the best case scenario for the Bucks is winning a championship, right? Yeah. The Celtics winning a championship, Warriors winning a championship. But for the Pelicans, what's the best case scenario?
The best case scenario is them being the surprise of the league. Okay. And what I mean by that is that means that they're home court advantage team in the Western Conference, in a loaded Western Conference. That means Zion Williamson is looking like a superstar. That means Brandon Ingram game isn't affected by Zion looking like a superstar. That means CJ McCollum is being a point guard, transferring from a shooting guard and still facilitating while getting his and being a good third option veteran. That means Herb Jones is having another dynamic defensive year. That means Troy Murphy has taken a step in his sophomore year. That means Larry Nance is coming off the bench and being impactful. Jonas Valanciunas is being, again, one of the most underrated bigs in the league. Devontae Graham and those guys off that bench are back into rhythm and scoring. So all of that is them being a 4th seed or higher in the Western Conference, which to me is outstanding, and them going past the first round. For a young, youthful team that doesn't have too much playoff experience, if they could make it to the second round or more, that's a bonus for them. It's a right step in the right direction.
To win basketball games, you have to be able to put the ball in the basket, and they have a lot of guys that could put the ball in the basket. So, I mean, their biggest problem, which is actually a good problem to have, is how that's going to all fit together. Who's going to get the basketball? Make sure that, like some would probably say, that team needs too many basketballs, but that's a way better problem to have than having no scorers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I think Brandon Ingram is an underrated playmaker and facilitator. I think CJ McCollum showed that he can make it work based off his second half of the year with them. So I think they have some guys who, though they can score the basketball, they are good decision makers, and they're going to be able to play selfishly unselfish as a whole. I think Brandon Ingram is gonna know when he needs to get his. And same thing with
and
CJ.
he's older now too, which is it's kind of like the timeline for some of these guys is pretty good. I mean, they're not super duper young. Like it's not Herb Jones is young, but like BI has some experience now. Zion hasn't played a lot of games, but he's been in the league a couple years now, right? CJ's obviously a vet. So I kind of like the timeline in some ways, even though CJ's a little bit older.
I like the timeline too. And Herb Jones is young in NBA years. Because remember, he was a 4-year guy at Alabama.
Yeah, true.
So in actuality, he might be the same age as Brandon Ingram and these one and done guys they have like Zion. So I like the timeline a lot too. And they're one of the most intriguing teams when we talk about the upcoming season. Is figuring out where they're going to, just like the Cavaliers now.
I was about to say that Cavs versus Pels is going to be a lit game. They got to put that on TV.
That is a good game.
They got to put that on TV.
Where do you, a question that I was asked was, where do you now put the Cavaliers?
Yeah.
Just with this on paper, you know what I mean? Obviously, we got to see them play. But if you're ranking the top teams in the Eastern Conference going into the season, where would you put the Cavaliers?
So off rip, the Celtics, Bucks, and Heat are a better basketball team than them.
What about Philly?
Yeah, Philly.
So you have the same exact thing I said.
Yeah.
I took the Heat over them. That was one of the conversations that turned into Heat versus Cavs, because a lot of people saying the Heat didn't get better compared to all the other teams, and they lost PJ Tucker. But I still trust the Miami.
You can't always judge the Heat directly on paper because it's that culture.
Facts. Come on, man. We bros for real. You saying the same thing I said.
Yeah.
Saying the same thing I said. And the Cavs, we have to see the Cavs play. But I had them around that 5th spot too, where I'm still taking those teams. I even argued or gave a thought to the Toronto Raptors. They're a very second team.
I told Keandre this, bro. That's an advantage what they're doing at Rico Hines. Not to keep bringing up Rico Hines. Shouts to Rico Hines.
No, because I love it. Me and my pops get on the phone and talk about the Rico Hines runs every day.
No, for sure. Shouts to them. That's so dope what they do over there, just to have that venue and have all those guys playing. But to have like the whole Raptors organization there playing together every day, like they're going to come into the season warm, ready, and in shape.
Remember what you said. Copycat league. If you watch closely, because I've been a Rico Hines runs watcher for the last 3 or 4 years now. At first, it was just a group of Raptor guys, Norman Powell, Pascal, Fred VanVleet. Now, fast forward some years, I see Piston guys in there.
Yo, it's gonna turn to official summer league for vets.
You know what I mean? I see Pistons guys in there. Now, you know who's going to be in that? Utah Jazz guys are going to be in there in the next couple of years. Guys are going to send their players, especially the youthful teams, and they're going to go in there and run and get a head start for sure.
And if the Raptors, it's going to be even more of that if the Raptors come out on fire, right?
On fire,
like sure. Every team is going to be sending like their 5 out there.
Rico Hines now works for them as well, so.
Yo, that's such an advantage for them, right? Like if you look at the sideline, it's like it looks like the whole Raptors coaching staff is like in the front row.
At one point, it was Raptors versus Raptors. It was Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, Pascal versus like Malachi Flynn, Delano Blanton. You know what I mean? Like literally the Raptors' first unit versus the second unit. They just haven't practiced. Practiced.
Yeah, I like all those reps that Pascal's getting a lot of on-ball reps.
On-ball rep, yep.
And he's young, so he could still get better. Who knows? Like he was 3rd-team All-NBA this year, right?
Yeah, he's the All-NBA player. Yep.
Yeah, like who knows where that team's gonna go? And then Scotty Barnes is probably gonna take another leap.
Yes,
yeah, they're gonna be Raptors versus Cavs could be a good game too.
I would love that. I would love that. Scotty Barnes versus Evan. You got Fred and Garland.
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell, OG Anunoby, Pascal, Jared. You got the Raptors. They have the lack of the interior side.
Yeah, Pascal could probably be a super mismatch problem for them, right? Yeah. Because for the bigs, they might not be able to guard him on the perimeter, and who are you gonna?
He can't guard them on the opposite end.
Yeah. Pete, great stuff, man. This was like, we're recording on a Friday. Makes sense. Where can we find you, bro?
Always PB the Plug on everything, man. PB the Plug on all socials. YouTube is PB the Plug, and then of course Tuesdays and Saturdays you can find me with Through the Wire podcast, House of Highlights, Bleacher Report, Warner Media, TNT, Stand Up. We got a big year ahead of us. We're doing a lot of dope stuff. You can see me everywhere, man. We be doing commercials and stuff now. People I went to school with, I'll be running into, saying they see me on this commercial, that commercial, or this app or that app. So yeah, just stay tuned. Tuned in. You can find me on the Combos Core podcast. You can find me in a Spaces with Combo, on IG Live coming soon with Combo. You can find me everywhere. If there's somebody out there talking about basketball in a progressive way, I'm down for that conversation. But I just be chilling, doing my thing, and enjoying the game, man.
And he raps too. We're waiting for the bars, P.
Bars coming soon, man. Bars coming soon.
We out.